There are so many unique and creative ways to mix from one song to the next, from the fundamentals of a crossfade through to a layered style mashup transition utilizing stems and samples. The tools are already at your fingertips, which is great, but it can also feel a little overwhelming. So let's take a couple of songs and look at all the ways we can transition between them. My name's Midtown Jack, and today we're covering the bread and butter of DJ.Studio, transition windows and presets. Here's my mix project consisting of just 2 songs. I'll keep things consistent by using these throughout most of the demonstrations. You'll also find the project file and songs in the video description so that you can follow along and practice everything we cover. First up, a couple of quick housekeeping steps. I won't dive too deep into these since there are already detailed videos and articles over on help.dj.studio. If you're already familiar with these, then feel free to skip ahead using the chapter markers. But taking a moment to do these steps can make creating transitions so much smoother and help you avoid headaches down the road. I'm happy with these songs and the order that they are in, but of course, talking about transitions, the first thing you want to think about is the order of your songs. Navigating to the playlist tab, this is the easiest view for looking at the songs in your mix, their key, BPM, and rearranging them if need be. Returning to the studio view, with electronic genres, most of the time DJ.Studio will have everything already synced up. But personally, I like to visually double check, scrolling with the mouse wheel to zoom in, and yes, in this case, the beat grid is aligned perfectly. At this point, if it wasn't, I could select the track tab and change the beat grid mode. The AI and AI flex modes work like magic for tracks that drift in tempo. If the beats are lined up, but they're in half or double time, then we can divide or multiply the tempo by 2. Otherwise, to adjust things ourselves, click and drag the song's audio to align it to the beat, or click and drag the beat grid markers to the audio and we can align things that way. With those steps out of the way, we can feel confident and have fun creating our transition. The transition window defines the window of time where our 2 songs overlap and we transition from one song to the next. What exactly this sounds like and what happens during the transitions is entirely up to your creativity. There aren't any rules, as different songs and genres include their own challenges and advantages when it comes to mixing between them. It's all part of what makes a skilled DJ, and while DJ.Studio gives you the tools, it takes practice to learn when and where to use them. Today, we have a couple of dance music tracks with extended intros and outros, and these are perfect when you're starting out or practicing new ways to mix between songs. Regardless, start by taking a listen to the song you're mixing out of. In dance music, often after the second chorus or drop, the music will feature less high energy elements, things like the vocal or melody that make up the exciting part of the song, and start winding down. This is for the very purpose of giving DJs an opportune place to transition to the next song. I can click and drag the bar at the top of the transition window to adjust its placement within the song we're mixing out of. I can also move the timing of the song we're mixing into by clicking and dragging it within the transition window. Clicking the transition window itself will center it, and notice that on either side of the transition window, the waveforms of our songs are faded out. Before the window, we don't want to accidentally be playing parts of the song we haven't mixed into yet. During the window, both songs are audible and we can move from one song to the next. Finally, after our transition is complete and we've moved into the new song, we no longer need to hear the previous song. So it's important to consider what parts of each song that we want to mix together and be audible within our transition window. To adjust the duration of the transition, I can use the tabs at the top, extending or trimming to the left or to the right to include more or less of each song. With the window selected, open the transition tab, and next to the playback controls, there are also preset durations of 4, 8, 16, and 32 bars. In this example, I've positioned my transition window so it begins towards the end of the second drop of the song that we're mixing out of, and I've extended its duration so that the transition completes just in time for the vocal of the song I'm mixing into. We can control everything that happens within our transition window, how we move from one song to the next in the transition tab. With our 2 songs overlapping, the simplest place to start is inside the equalizer category. Under volume, select the crossfade preset. Represented by these white automation lines with a crossfade at the start of our transition window, the song that we're mixing out of will be at 100% volume and then fade out over the course of the transition. Simultaneously, the song that we're mixing into starts with its volume decreased and then gets louder over the duration of the transition. Adjusting the crossfade preset's parameter will have it take up more or less of the transition window's duration. We can also adjust how much each song's volume is turned up or down by moving the nodes at either end of the automation lines. Often we want to control the volume of certain parts of each song, and for that there's bass, mid, and high EQ. To stop the bass and drums of our songs clashing, doubling up, and likely overwhelming our mix, let's go to bass and choose the swap preset. Represented with a yellow automation line, rather than gradually adjusting like a crossfade, the swap turns the bass volume down on the song we're mixing out of and simultaneously turns the volume of the bass up on the song that we're mixing into. This not only prevents any clashing or mix issues, but particularly in dance music, swapping the bass during a transition can help clearly define and focus a shift in energy from one song to the next. To change the timing of the bass swap, click and drag on the automation line, then let go, and the bass swap is adjusted in both tracks simultaneously. You can also offset the timing of the swap by using the preset's parameter. The mid and high EQ can of course be transitioned and controlled as well, either with presets like the crossfade or the swap, or with manual automation. For example, setting the high EQ to manual, its automation is represented by the purple line. Each control has its own color to help tell them apart. However, for a clearer view, we can also click the solo button for that control to isolate its automation line for easy adjustments. For this transition, I don't think we need to automate the high EQ, so I'll unsolo it and set it back to none. However, I will change my volume control to manual. Clicking on the white automation line adds automation nodes, and the placement of these nodes adjusts how my volume will change throughout the transition. I'll shape things similar to the crossfade, but just a little more deliberate with the adjustments. I'm also going to extend the transition window to the right by 4 beats and automate the volume down. And why I'm doing this will make more sense in just a moment. Next, let's navigate over to the effects category. Here you'll find all sorts of creative effects to help with crafting your transitions. We won't be going over each of these today, but again, if you're new to DJ.Studio and want to learn more, there are videos both on this channel and over on help.dj.studio covering all of the effects in detail. For today, under Effect Out, I'll select Reverb. If you haven't heard a reverb effect before, it sort of washes out the song similar to an echo. It's part of the Effect Out group, so it's applied and used to affect the song we're mixing out of. Clicking the reverb's effect parameters changes the strength of the effect. Inside the transition window, we can click and drag the vertical marker to adjust the timing of when the reverb effect will be applied and wash out the song we're mixing out of. I'll place it here where the transition window used to end before we extended it 4 beats. Now, instead of just ending abruptly or having the volume turned down gradually, the song will feel like it sort of washes away, and turning the volume down here makes sure that the reverb sound fades out smoothly. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the results. Combining volume automation, a bass swap, and a reverb out, this is definitely the kind of transition I like to use often, so rather than recreate it from scratch each time, let's save it as a preset. To the left of the transition categories, you'll see a list of presets. There's a few built-in ones, like a simple bass swap, a crossfade, and an echo out. To save my custom preset, I'll select Save, give it a name, and now under Categories, My Presets, here it is, ready to be applied to future transitions with just one click. I hope you've enjoyed this look at transition windows, effects, and presets in DJ.Studio. Whilst there are plenty more tools to help craft all kinds of transitions that we'll be covering in coming videos, transition windows and their placement and timing, the use of volume, EQ, and effects really do form the fundamental building blocks of great transitions in DJ.Studio. The project file and songs from today are linked in the video description, so you can download it and start experimenting with creating your own transitions and custom presets. Also, leave a comment and let us know what types of transitions you like to make, as well as what features and types of transitions we should cover next. To learn more, just click the message bubble down the bottom right-hand corner inside DJ.Studio and then click Help. Otherwise, in your web browser, just navigate to help.dj.studio. My name's Midtown Jack, and I'll see you in the next video.